Welcome again, Maxim here, and in this video I will show you where and how to get a lot of useful mods in the early stages of the game. Many times new players begin to have problems with missions after unlocking a few sectors. It often turns out that builds, or rather the lack of them, are the cause of the situation. Of course, at the beginning there are not many mods to create builds from, which is another issue. In the game, there is no clear signal when players should start modding, because they will no longer be able to easily handle with any kind of weapon. To solve this problem, in this video, I will discuss the Void, a place that hides many secrets, and those who want to explore them will be able to make further gameplay much easier. It's all about containers that may contain mods. They are placed in many secret spots, or even in special secret rooms. The list of possible mods to get is quite long, over 100, but the vast majority of them are pretty interesting, of course depending on what approach to the game you prefer. I will add that another way to easily acquire new mods is transmutation, but this process requires a certain amount of credits, and those are very important in the early game stages, and not easy to obtain in large amounts without the help of other players. Back to the Void mods. For Warframe, apart from, for instance, mods that give you partial resistance to particular types of damage. From the more interesting ones, you can find ones that increase health, shields and armor. They can be useful in the early game stages, especially if you upgrade them a bit in the modding station. You don't have to go straight to rank 10. Upgrading them to rank 6 requires a lot less endo, and you will feel the improvement. Moving forward, you can get a mod that speeds up shield recharge. This, combined with always present shield gating mechanic, which protects you for a short moment after losing all shields, will definitely increase your survivability by activating shield gating more often. But over the time, you will see that these mods are not that important. Later on, you will start to rely more on your own Warframe and the operator skills. You can also find mods that increase your movement speed, mods that improve skills range, their strength, duration, efficiency, the energy capacity, or a mod that converts some of the damage you take into energy. The drop pool includes mods for robotic companions. In addition to skill mods you get anyway by building a given sentinel, you will find mods for it for more health, shields and armor. Also one that will allow your companion to recover your shields on Warframe once in a while when they are depleted. Or your sentinel will be able to revive itself once per mission. And there's also a mod for companion that will give you a special cover when reviving an ally. In the later game stages, you can revive with operator to be safe, but until you get to that, mod can sometimes prove useful. Let's move on to weapon mods. You will be using a lot of them even in the late game stages, so sooner you get them, the better. First of all, mods for primary, secondary and melee weapons for basic damage, critical chance and damage. Multi-shot and punch-through mods, fire rate, attack speed and status chance, plus mods that add heat, cold and electric damage. These are very important, because you can create the appropriate types of damage in the builds for a given faction to eliminate opponents more efficiently. But toxic mods are missing here. You can get some of these from Captain War in the Void, more about him a little bit later. And if you'd like to get basic toxic mods, you will find them on Hive mission on Ares, Neiglar. Each one have a 5.64% drop chance. There are 4 mods, so each mission you have 22.56% drop chance, for one of them on rotation B. Back to the Void, you can also get faction mods there. The values on them seem inconspicuous, but these are very powerful mods. The damage they increase isn't added to the overall pool like from most of the mods. This is a damage multiplier that is applied on basic damage calculations, so will have better effect on the build if one is created properly than increasing the base damage with, for instance, Serration. If you are interested in such mods against Corrupted, you can get them on Defection. Now you'll see where, on which rotations, and what the chances are to get them. I will also add that some mods can only drop from Void containers if the mission level is high enough. For example, some rare mods require enemies at level 20 or higher. Also on mission with higher level enemies, the containers will more often contain mods. And one important information, mods are unique to whoever picks them up. The mod is randomly selected at the moment of picking, separately for each player. Okay, you already know what you can get, but where exactly and how? And is there a way to make it easier? The void is divided into 4 areas, each of which can be accessed from a different sector. The fastest way to view void missions is from Phobos. There you will have capture and extermination. Farming at higher levels requires reaching to the void from the Neptune side. If you play the daily sortie, or when you visit the void trader Baru, you may occasionally find a mod drop chance booster. It significantly increases the frequency of dropping them out from containers. One of the obstacles in the void are seismic death balls. To make them less of a problem and complete some of the rooms easier, you can choose Warframes, like for example Nezha, Valkyr or Rhino, who can resist being knocked down by their abilities, or use sure-footed mod. Unfortunately, this mod has, from the best source, a 0.14% drop chance. Its primed version is available for the first time as a daily tribute reward for the day 200. Explosive weapons, or Ignis with punch-through, can be an additional help. Some containers can only be opened for a certain period of time, or maybe sometimes even you won't be able to get them in a given approach without specific weapons. Of course, the mod for attracting drops in your companion will also come in handy. And one more info, when looking for these containers, you may be surprised. Occasionally, you can find a rare reinforced container with an entire build forma inside and the credits or affinity booster. Okay, let's finally get to where to find these containers. There are really a lot of places. Let's start with a small side room. There may be even several of them during one mission on your map. Inside, you will find few containers, some of them have a chance for mods. Opening those containers causes the guarding turrets to start shooting at you, so watch out for them. 2 similar containers can be found on the capture mission, in a special room, where your target is always heading to. Note that some rooms are easier to encounter on specific missions, for example, mobile defense or survival. Another source is this room with lasers. It is possible that on your map a similar location will be generated, but there are no containers in it. However, here you will find them by jumping on the ledge in the corners of the room behind vents. In the next room, the containers are behind the wall. This one, however, not always opens when you press the pressure plate, so it's best to use an area weapon or Ignis with punch-through. The next place is this corridor. By jumping on the higher platforms, you will find 2 containers on each of them. In this room here is an elevator that you can access by jumping up. Going down, you will find several containers. You can also save some time by using area weapon here from the outside. In the next room, it's easy to miss one spot. It's a small balcony that hides several containers. There is also another balcony, which is a separate room. Here you have to jump to the very top, and on the sides you will find several containers defended by turrets. In this room there are several containers in the middle, and after pressing the pressure plate on which they are placed, the false walls will fall down, revealing several more containers. The next room is very interesting. It hides 2 places with containers. Approaching the golden blockade, you stand on the pressure plate. It opens the passage, turns on the laser, and temporarily opens the recess with the containers. You can stop the recess from closing by stepping on the plate inside it. However, on the other side of the room, there is another pressure plate that opens up the second recess with containers, and it is placed just behind the first pressure plate. Each of these 2 plates opens a recess at the other end of the room. It's best to open an empty only one, avoiding opening the other one, until you are finished with the first. Going further, you can come across this huge room. The orbs hanging from the ceiling look like decoration, but they are actually a storage. By stepping on the pressure plate in the middle of the room, you will open both of them for a few seconds. During this time, you can shoot the containers that are inside. Orbs can be opened only once, but containers can always be destroyed with an area weapon. You can shoot them off and then open the orbs. Or you can just shoot at the orbs and jump closer to them. Drops will be pulled towards to you if you are just close enough and have some vacuum or fetch companion mod. There are 4 pressure plates in this room that remove 4 false walls. Behind them you will find a large number of containers. The next room is a small puzzle. The reward isn't big and it can always be accessed with an area weapon, but there may be an Ayatan sculpture or a supply cache behind the wall. Then you have to open it to get inside. Stand somewhere high, so that from above you can see the pressure plates in the middle of the stairs. Plate that glows blue is the one you have to stand on. When you do so, another one will turn blue. After pressing all 4 blue plates, 2 small recesses will open above the lower entrances. In the next room, containers are placed in 3 spots. Depending on which side you enter, you can find them at the end of the corridor, on your or on the opposite side. This is the first place. The second one can be found after entering the hole in the wall. The third one is in the hall at the end of one of the lower corridors. The next place is a pair of platforms, a balcony and a few lasers, nothing special. However, the next room is one of the 3 biggest obstacle courses. You activate it with 2 pressure plates. To go through it correctly, follow the video you see right now. You can equip more agile Warframe or even one that flies. It's all about pressing the pressure plates. The slower you do this, the greater the chance that part of the vault may close, cutting you off from rewards. The next obstacle course is quite fast. There are a lot of slowing down floors and lasers, but the whole thing is quite simple. Note that apart from the vault itself, which gate will close if you don't make it in time, the containers can also be found in the side parts of this room, where you can see rotating lasers on the platforms. And in a special niche, in front of which is an airflow. You leave the room through one of the side exits or through the front, depending on which is open. The last obstacle course at the entrance looks identical to the previous one, but further on it is completely different. After jumping down and surviving, you'll have to jump up. Watch here carefully, because you will pass the first containers when falling down, inside of closing orb. After landing, you can jump into the vault. The way back is through 2 pressure plates. The first one opens one of the side passages. Go inside and step on another plate, above which are several containers. Go back to the second corridor, which also has containers above the plate. Then use the way out you already know. I mentioned Captain War and Toxic mods earlier. He spawns on missions with enemy levels 40 or higher. Such levels are accessible from the Sedna sector. Unfortunately, this means that you have to go through most of the navigation sectors to get there. However, these are quite useful mods. War can spawn on mobile defense, interception, and survival. During the combat, aim at his abdomen. Other parts are invulnerable. When dying, he will drop one of the 4 toxic mods. You can also desecrate the upper half of his body with necros. War breaks in 2 when he dies. In addition, as a curiosity, I will mention that mods from the Void can also be obtained on Deimos. However, it is hard to find those places, and there are not many containers. There are literally 3 rooms that you see right now, one of which is similar to the one in the Void. The room where the target you are about to capture escapes to. The third room has 2 spots with containers. The problem is that the corrupted containers that are present on Deimos do not contain mods. You can sometimes find obstacle courses on a map, familiar to Void rooms, but all of the containers there are corrupted and empty. You can also find a few containers with Void mods on Lua, but rooms with them are even rarer than on Deimos. So it's more of a pleasant surprise to finding something there than to consider it as another place to farm. And that's all in this video. Good luck farming Void mods. If you have any questions, please type them in the comment section or visit one of my streams, link in the description. See you next time, bye.